everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I am Evan Irwin.
Oh my God.
And we begin, as we do each week, by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Oh.
Officer Campbell.
Reporting for duty.
And Mr. Bressler.
How are you? It's good to have you here in the Addams family home.
Good. Hope everyone's having a wonderful, awesome Halloween.
Jesus. Really terrifying.
This is what we're doing now. This is my life now.
Yeah. This is my nightmare now, turns out.
It's so good. It's so good. Go ahead.
I wonder if it's the makeup that's weirding people out or the fact that you have hair, because they're not used to that.
It's one of the two.
It doesn't work. I'm telling you, when I put the wig on, everything just snaps together. And it's amazing. Oh my God. We also begin with our Trumpet Blast. You can get one if you support us at our highest level on Patreon. We have a few special notes, as in one special note. Kickstarter stuff appears to be delivered. If you've not gotten your Kickstarter stuff, please let us know.
I got my Kickstarter stuff in the mail.
Terrific.
So.
Aaron, you should have stuff too. Did you not get stuff?
I didn't get any, no.
Then I'll double check on yourself ASAP. That said, we can kick it off our first pick in our giveaway. Our giveaway is a $50 gift certificate to CoolStuffInc.com, ! raffle to get in on that. Subscribers get 2. And, you know, if you see all this and you see what's going on with Aaron Rubin and would like to, you know, be part of the program and appreciate what we're doing here, you can certainly subscribe to the channel to do that. All right, we have an absolute truck ton of stuff to talk about this week. To begin, our first pick, we have a new format in Magic the Gathering, and that format is Pioneer. It was called Frontier, sort of the organic format that people had created before.
Right.
And now it's Frontier.
Now it's Pioneer.
Or Pioneer, sorry. Now it's Pioneer. See? So Pioneer is Return to Ravnica Forward with Fetch Lands banned, and that is pretty much it. We've gotten a few we've gotten a few deck lists and whatnot back so far, and they all seem amazing. Like, there was a deck list posted from the leagues, and it was like 90 decks. Like, all sorts of crazy stuff happening. Combos, like cards you haven't seen in a while, and it just seems amazing.
Yeah, I played for 3 hours straight shortly after it went live, and I remember I lost to Sylvan Awakening. Remember that card? And Jeskai Ascendancy. The combo was, because they're creatures, and so you just whoop, 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 and then all of your lands get really, really big, and then they crash in. And so I lost to like a red prowess deck. I was doing the Enchantress thing. I saw there was the people were just Steel Overseer. There's like an Affinity-esque deck right now. The format is wide open, and I'm really enjoying seeing these brewers just live their best life with this format. Yeah,
and so this format is very exciting. The kind of deserted wasteland of Standard that is happening right now with... it's very similar to what happened with Modern, where I think the easiest bellwether as to this format has a problem is when people start main decking their sideboard cards. It's kind of like, that's kind of like the bridge you have to cross as you go.
When that one GP had all the Leyline of the Voids in Modern, it was the most played card at the GP. Yeah. Or the Mythic or the Pro Tour.
Yeah, the Mythic Championship. Like, you have to say, like, that's kind of an issue, guys, and we can't have that as a format. So that said, we're kind of barreling towards a standard banning, I feel a lot of people are expecting. But Wizards did note that they are not going to ban anything before the Mythic Championship. That is just a thing that's happening.
Weird.
But the pros seem to be appreciative of that because it doesn't give them much time to find something else, which is a concern.
This is true. Now, back to Pioneer. So, talking about Standard, well, I think this is Nerd Rage Gaming? This is the NRG series.
Yes, big fan.
They had noted, they said, hey, no one signed up for our Standard event. And that's kind of a problem because they're giving away $5,000 in prizes, and it costs money to make money and or to hold an event, and that's kind of what they're trying to do. So, they said, what if we just made this Pioneer? And then everyone lost their minds and sent them money. And so they said, hey, we're going to have this be Pioneer now, which is
this
fantastic.
ended up being a really big news story. Max Khan, I believe, is their event manager. He's also a great judge, pocket judge on Twitter. He had posted this thing of like, we've got 2 people for this. Like, we cannot fire event with 2 people. And, I love Nerd Rage. I frequent their events. And so I believe him when he says that they did everything they could to make this event a success, and people just wouldn't come out for it. And so the community really banded together in I think less than 24 hours. They did enough people, 24 hours. And now they have enough people to successfully fire this Frontier event or this Pioneer event. And just a great happy ending to the story, which started off depressing as hell.
Oh, fairly. A pharmacist judge notes here, they were very clear. If we get like 50 people pre-reg by X date, they changed to Pioneer, and people signed up as they see there. So and we'll get into Oko more later, but what I would say regarding Standard, Wizards has mandated that all of the the Players Tour qualifiers that are happening in stores are the standard format, like just period. And so turns out we're having one at a Cool Stuff Games location this weekend, and I'm going to it. And why am I, who has not attended an event in literal years, going to go play in a competitive event? It is because no one has signed up for this freaking event. Like 4 people have signed up, and even if Magic players wait to the last minute, which I know they do, it's good. There's more than 4 people that sign up by now. That's a serious problem.
Thank you for the gift subs, Castrolon. That's very sweet of you.
Oh, thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, boy. I think that it's, I've been playing Standard on Arena to get my Arena quests in, and I'm using a deck list very similar to Crokies, the streamer Crokies, who is very often in the top 100, top 50, top 10 of the leaderboard. I have 4 main deck Noxious Grasps and
here's the problem:
2 main deck Veil of Summers.
That's disgusting.
6 main deck hate cards.
That's not okay.
Color hate cards. So when I play against the red black sacrifice deck, it's a problem, but it's.
Ruben Chat's having a hard time hearing you.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
A little quiet. That's okay. But again, this format is just like warped, and it's one of the things I noted on Twitter. Look, they went too far with Oko. They really did. That card is stupid and it is dumb, and we're going to get into exactly how dumb later. But I applaud Wizards for doing that. I want them to keep putting the pedal to the floor. Yeah. I'm totally okay with bannings. Like, at least we tried, right? We went there, we got excited, we saw what happened, and somebody on Twitter, because I said, I think it was very exciting and it was cool, and they said, Oko's not exciting. You know what's exciting? Siege Rhino's exciting. And I'm like, how many people were sick and tired of Siege Rhino by the time it left Standard?
How quickly everyone forgets.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you want a refresher, go watch Magic Man Sam's video about this. Right. It was quite good.
There you go. All right. So for the Pioneer format, not only did Nerd Rage Gaming change, also Star City Games changed their entire invitational. Instead of Standard, they're going to have Modern and Pioneer with a Pioneer top 8, where we're going to have a Modern top 8. So they're going all in.
Pretty wild as well.
Yeah, and that to me, honestly, I think that's a good decision. Gets people excited about it. There were some who were complaining about having to test for so many formats in a short amount of time, but that's just Magic. Like,
yeah.
Just got to deal with that.
Yeah.
Wizards noted just today that they are going to be very, very active when it comes to announcements on the banned and restricted list for Pioneer. In fact, they're going to be so adamant about it and aggressively sort of off-cycle that they are going to do a ban and restricted update for Pioneer every single Monday, at least for the foreseeable future.
That's ambitious.
Which seems amazing. And Ruben, you were talking in the pre-show about the things that they could do if they kind of wanted to really go nuts with it.
Yeah, if they want to, twist a bunch of knobs and see what works, and not just do bannings in the way that we've seen the ban list used in the past. They could do really interesting things where they change the format fundamentally every week if they wanted to. They could do things like announce that shock lands are banned for the week. They could announce that certain blocks are banned for the week. They could say, this week we're banning, these 5 cards, but unbanning this card. And then, shift and change it around in a way that is not just for power level reasons, not just taking away the most powerful things and trying to balance the format in that way. But it also lets people play with all of their toys. It makes them put them on the shelf for a week at a time, but it allows it's an interesting way to go about using a banned list if they wanted to. It wouldn't so much be a banned list as a suspended list, where, you know, this week the fetch lands are unbanned, but shock lands are banned again. And you could do interesting things like that. I'm not sure that people want that, but it is a card that they could play if they so chose.
Well, people are noting here that they mentioned when they first announced the format, they said, you know, we're going to be really active about ban and restricted. They even mentioned stuff like we can just ban and restrict it whenever we want. And this is sort of more of a codified, every Monday we're going to be talking about this and looking at this and having an update as to whether or not we're going to move something there. So I think Felidar Guardian is a good sort of first, you know, get out of here type of card. But I guess we'll see. I'm not sure. But Pioneer is absolutely sweet. People are super excited about it. And again, the PTQs are happening and they're standard and they're not changing. And you can take advantage of that because nobody really wants to play it. It's kind of a thing. I'll also note, and again, I just want to note here, just sort of like for historical sake, we went from like Oko is a card, question mark, to it has broken everything and standard is a complete wasteland in like 3 weeks. Like, it's a very fast evolution. All I'm saying. This is one of those things. All right, so speaking of evolutions, time for Gather the Townsfolk. We are going to look at some unbelievable announcements for Commander. Now, let's take note that last week's GP was an absolute embarrassment, okay? Like, actual factual. The last GP Phoenix had 1,400 something people. This last one they had this past weekend was 558. Seriously.
Yeah, I was thinking of going to GP Phoenix, but ended up not going. And it seems that a lot of people had that same decision.
I mean, how many, like, when in the U.S., when's the last time a GP was in the U.S. with less than 600 people? I mean, it's been a while. And so, first of all, that's a big concern for vendors because, you know, cool stuff attends those, other people attend those. There were some tweets rather about people having a bad time in that regard. And again, because only 500 people showed up versus 1,400 or 1,600 or whatever, like that those numbers matter. So Commander Fest is happening this weekend, and if Commander Fest numbers blow out the Grand Prix numbers, which they look to be, or at least do very well, that's going to start to shift the balance as to what we're focusing on, where Wizards is putting their marketing dollars, whether it's in actual competitive events versus having very popular casual events. You know, what if they were to take that 50 grand and pay 2 celebrities to show up to your Commander Fest, and you could go play with Danny Trejo, or you could go play with the girl from Stranger Things, you could go play Commander with them for the entire weekend. Wouldn't that be pretty cool? Wouldn't that be a pretty good use of 50K? That'd get some butts in some seats.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not about the competitive angle, and honestly, that's what we've seen year after year. We have slowly but surely continued this pace towards more and more casual products because they keep doing very, very well.
Yeah.
That said, they said here there's a huge appetite for Commander. They noted, like, you know, Commander's everything. They've made arsenals, anthologies, whatever. Players need reprints, for God's sakes. Reprint Bloom Tender. Seriously, have you seen the cost on that stupid card?
Well, green is the first color that's up on the docket. So there's a couple of cards that apparently are super green that people need reprints for, and Bloom Tender not being the least among them.
Every time I turn around, it feels like a card is doubled in price. I've been slowly but surely adding my decks to Tapped Out, and Vidalcan Orrery is a $40 card. I'm just like, how did this happen? Like, yeah. I was going through my Shroom deck, and just these crummy artifacts are suddenly worth a lot of money. And my Marchesa deck, I built my Marchesa deck for $150. It's worth almost $400. A Machiko Conda, $20 to $30 card. I'm just like, what happened? Like, blink and Marchesa herself is over $30. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, the cards are just going up and up quickly. And one of the last things they noted here was that people are learning Magic through Commander.
Oh, yeah.
And I assure you, this was the tipping point. When they learned that people were actually figuring out how to play Magic through Commander, that is a whole new realm that you're able to take to the higher-ups and say, look, we're getting more people in the game. because these products are existing and because we're making more things for this format. So let's go.
It's interesting. Something about that announcement really stood out to me. The fact that he's calling Commander a casual format, because there's actually been a lot of discussion lately about the power level of the format, that you're saying that you want it to be this casual format, but you're making these juiced up, Commander precons. You're releasing these Commander products with these really powerful cards that are inspiring people to build more broken things. And I know Sheldon's weighed in on this issue before, and Bruce Richards weighed in on this issue before. And so I'm interested to see how they're going to balance that, because they're saying they want it to be casual, but they're giving you these super powerful cards that are in no means meant to be just casual. Like, if you're unloading some of these cards or you're unveiling these cards, you're here to play, you're here to do business. And I'm not sure you're going to keep it casual at that rate.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to them, they don't really know how to market to casual people, right? Like, it's always been marketed of like, check out the most powerful new set that's come along in a long time. And, this is new territory for them to try to have events where it's not like first prize is all of the money, so you better win. So, give them some time. I'm sure they'll figure it out.
They're getting there. All right, so first of all, what we would describe as Commander 2020, as we've known as Commander releases year in, year out. They notice Ikoria Commander. Ikoria Lair of Behemoths is coming. I 100% expect this to be the set where Mark Rosewater finally takes Creature A with Creature B and slaps them together so you can make Creature C. He's been talking about that for years, and even did it with the last unset. But regardless, they're aligning the Commander decks with Ikoria. They're going to release on April. They'll release
really cool.
Yeah, they're going to release with Ikoria on April 24th, and they're going to have 71 brand new cards, more than they've ever done before. They're back to doing 5 decks instead of 4, which is nice, I guess. All the new cards in the decks are set on the world of Ikoria. The reprints can be from anywhere, as they note, which is cool. But the 71 new cards are not found in draft boosters. They're not found in the rest of the Ikoria set. They're only made with these Commander decks in mind, which is pretty cool. But
now, are they going to be standard legal?
No,
they're legal
like
in eternal formats like normal. Like, you can still play them in Legacy and Vintage, and
this is
great because I get new toys.
Yeah, this is the they're the Commander decks for the year, as you would expect them to be for the past 5 or 6 years or whatever they've been doing them. Zendikar Rising is going to have Commander decks, which is awesome. They're introducing a new kind of Commander deck. There are 2 decks are going to launch with it. They're meant to be on ramps to Commander with a few new cards, 3 per deck, and the rest are going to be reprints. Like Ikoria Commander, the new cards are themed to the world, and the reprints can be from anywhere, which is a thing. So instead of Planeswalker decks, they're making Commander decks. And I think that's a brilliant move, by the way.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I think that, you're well, first of all, on ramp with Zendikar. See what they did. I think that that makes total sense. That's the audience they want to be appealing to anyway. And the Planeswalker decks are a product without an audience, really, or at least without a permanent audience.
Well, they don't need to be repeated over and over. There's going to be Planeswalker decks for Core Set 2021, which is great. But I agree that, when you're in the core set, here's the Planeswalker decks, here's the ones with the guardrails, here, figure out magic, here's how you go from A to B. And then with the actual sort of advanced sets or whatever, you have the Commander decks, which can be themed to the world. I think it gives them a chance to put some of the legendary characters in the story that we don't always see in cards.
Sure.
Actually on cards.
And it also allows them to print cards that they could never put into standard in those decks, to A, drive sales, and B, get reprints out there of those super expensive stuff like Bloom Tender, like you were talking about.
Absolutely. So Wizards is going to make a product called the Commander Collection Green. Now, this, of course, is to be expected that they're going to do all 5 colors eventually, but for 2020, they're going to be doing green. They note that this is only going to be found at WPN stores, so this is actually a gift to the stores, which is appreciated. There's 2 versions, a premium version and a regular version. All WPN stores will get the regular edition, which contains all 8 cards in non-foil, but the WPN premium stores will also get a blinged out premium version, which contains all 8 cards in foil. So you have the option to get non-foil no matter where you are as WPN store, but actual foils in WPN premium stores.
Huh. So each store is going to be able to order any number of these, or what?
I'm not sure yet. I don't think we've sort of gotten to that point, as it were, because this is going to be released in sometime next year. Not to mention, Wizards has changed the way that they've sort of offered products to stores based on whether it's premium or it's non-premium. There's certain amounts of product that you get based on your pre-release numbers and things of that nature. So it's a whole host of stuff.
It's cool that they're rewarding WPM premium and regular premium stores. I think that's a really cool idea.
Absolutely. So this is their chance to get more cool reprints back out there. They're going to have all new art, which is going to be sweet. And this is, again, as a gift to the store type thing. If they, say like, hey, there's no MSRP on this, so if we kind of included Doubling Season and or a Bloom Tender and or a Oracle Moldiah, who knows what this is actually going to end up being priced as. I guess we'll see. But we're not done. Oh my God. Commander Legends is a full set for Commander players. It is draft.
Timely.
Yeah. Draft meets Commander. Over 70 brand new legends. Over 70. That is going to, at least based on what I saw, someone had counted, it's going to put us over 1,000 legends in Magic as of the end of next year. We have something like 800 something right now. So with that, plus the 10 or so we get with every other set, it's going to give us probably 1,000 for the year's over, which is awesome. These are going to be 20 card packs with a foil and 2 legendary creatures in every single pack, which is going to be interesting. Normally they're going to show off, they never show you off anything, but they did show off Baron Singir, which is hot fire, which is... If you happen to be a patron of the show and you happen to listen to the pre-show, which you only have to patronize for $5 a month to get that, you'll get to hear Ruben pie bet on whether Baron Singer is going to come back in the next 2 years.
Right.
Took me less than 24 hours, y'all.
Right. I only missed by 700 days or whatever. Yeah. That was a calculated risk, but boy, am I bad at math.
Goodness.
I think that's a good way to hype it up. The return of another one of the big bads of Magic history. I'm excited that if I'm going to lose a pie bet, I'm excited that it's because Baron Sangir is coming back. I think that's pretty cool. Reaching back into the well, particularly for a Commander expansion. People have tried building things like Commander cubes in the past.
Right.
I would be interested to see what the mechanics of this Commander draft format is going to try to do or try to be, but they're putting a ton of attention into Commander in general, and so I'm excited to give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean the 20 card packs in and of themselves are just kind of a weird mystery, honestly. Yeah. Like, okay, it's cool. Probably going to be more expensive than your average draft pack is my expectation.
For sure.
Because there's a foil in every pack and there's 2, legends in every pack. They also showed a preview of what should be Jessica, right? This is Jessica. Yeah. This is the brother to, or sister rather to, Kamal. Thank you very much. And didn't she eventually become like a Chroma or whatever?
She eventually became Corona.
Corona. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a long, complicated story with Jessica, the warrior adept.
Jessica and Phage were like, women's,
So, but anyway, it looks like they're making a new Jessica card. That's really cool, which is awesome. So, tons of new products, which are ridiculous. So they're going to be the Commander Legends, and we're going to have Commander decks. So Commander Legends is going to have 2 Commander decks of its own, much like Zendikar Rising, which is interesting. They're going to have 3 new cards not found in draft boosters, as well as the reprints. Expansion code for these is CMC, which is all right. Converted mana cost finally has its own set to call its own.
Well, they were so loath to use MTG TBD, but they're going to use MTG CMC like it's nothing.
Gotta tell you,
picking and choosing their puns, I guess.
All right, so let's keep moving here. You can, as of right now, support Extra Life, which is a charity that helps kids who are sick, for Seattle Children's Hospital, and you can right now go buy for $3.99 the sleeves of the My Little Pony MTG cards, essentially. The Ponies the Galloping.
There we go.
Yes, Ponies the Galloping, which is very cute, very cool. These are only available for a limited time. I think it's through November 4th or 5th, something like that. So if you want them and you think they're cool and you want to support, obviously the cause, feel free to go get those as soon as possible. They're great. One of the things that Wizards has announced, and we've talked about it, of course, which is mystery boosters. And what a mystery booster is and what's in it and what's not in it. And is it supposed to be Pioneer Masters? No, it's not Pioneer Masters because they didn't have enough time to actually update it. Or actually sort of tie it in together. But what Gavin Verhey went on Reddit and said he's going to say a little bit more about the mystery booster. He's going to say that, look, there's as in all cases where there's information where players don't know about and an atypical marketing strategy, many of you are asking for the information and find it unusual. You don't know what it is. So he'd be willing to bet that after the reveal at Richmond is said and done, there'll be a lot of fun and memories had by the fact that it's a complete mystery, a once-in-a-lifestyle type event. They tried to do this with Iconic Masters, but they just couldn't contain themselves and had to talk about a bunch of cards that was in it before it got spoiled that day by people opening packs. But this is not happening. It may never happen again in the history of Magic. It's not going to negatively impact people not going, they say, and for a lot of people, I think it's going to be a blast, which is why I don't think there's new cards in this by any stretch. There are a lot of people concerned they might sign up and find the packs of 15 commons of M20 and a preview of Homelands Remastered or whatever. They're not trying to trick everybody into playing a set they'll find horrifying. Step back and think about it from our perspective and how we would do marketing. I don't think tricking a single event of people into playing Homelands is really doing anything for us. Right. So my guess is like a bunch of money is going to pop out of these things, crazy foils, maybe some new frames, maybe some cards are coming back. But again, this is the actual factual, nobody knows what's in the packs event, which is great.
Which I'm super excited for. I think that this is... again, it's something that they tried to do once before. I'm kind of surprised that they've successfully done it thus far, and I hope that the secret remains until the point at which they open packs, because I think it's such a cool idea that they can only really do once. And so, I hope that it goes off without a hitch.
Yep. Tarmogoyf Masters, oops, all Tarmogoyfs. They just open up the pack and it's like 15 different versions of Tarmogoyf.
Right. I like the silver bordered reserve list card idea. That'd be kind of cool to be able to have people play with all of their old cards as new again. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Be pretty sweet. So mystery boosters are coming. As far as I know, it's still a thing that's only for Grand Prix events, but and it's going to be at the Mythic Championship and whatnot, so that's going to be really exciting, and we'll see what happens there. Just today, there is a YouTube channel called Because Science, and they put together a Turing complete deck of Magic cards. This is where it can compute on its own, all by itself, if you just let the computer kind of run. And it is brilliant. I cannot explain it in just a couple seconds here. Right. I would go check it out. It has Josh Lee Kwai, it has Jimmy Wong in there helping out near the end. And he actually shows, he's like, look, these are the cards I'm playing. This is how it works. All these things phase out, blah, 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 blah. Like, it goes nuts. And thanks to, 20K plus unique Magic cards, we can now make a computer with Magic cards.
That is Kyle Hale of Because Science. He's been doing that show for a number of years now. I've seen him at a couple of Commander events. I actually met him over at the Commander guy's house. He's a really nice guy and loves Magic and loves science.
Nice. And
a Turing complete machine, which means that once it gets started, it just goes. Like, it doesn't need any additional human input. There are no May triggers, for example, in the Turing complete machine that they built. It's a very interesting project.
Yeah, I mean, I know my hair's something, but his hair's pretty dope. My hair, though.
You're really feeling this Pennywise fantasy, aren't you?
I give it that pat. I give it that pat. Yeah. I give it that pat, y'all.
Jesus.
Kyle's hair is 24/7, 365. This is not a once-in-a-decade occasion.
Oh, and thank you so much, Pharmacist Judge. As answered on the Blogatog, Mark Rosewater noted that there are going to be two versions of the Mystery Booster, one for GPs and conventions, and one for local game stores. So everyone can get in on the Mystery Fun. More details after Magic Fest Richmond. So that is awesome, and I am looking forward to that. Cool. All right, so the Judge Academy, judgeacademy.com, is getting up and running. They're kind of slowly but surely making things happen. They've listed the level 1 requirements for judges for Magic the Gathering. I'll put a link here in the chat. They'll be in the show notes if you're looking for it. And it essentially says you're going to have some quizzes that include Magic core competencies, community building, event management, and a test that you're going to have that you have to get 80% or higher to pass. You'll also need an endorsement from a level 2 or higher judge, which is really interesting. And this doesn't mean you have to like see them in face to face where they give you this endorsement. They can do it online, but you need to have someone essentially to vouch for you to say like, hey, yes, this person will be a judge and I know them and I know of them and maybe they've worked together or done an event together and whatnot. And it just kind of puts a small barrier to entry because you don't necessarily want to open the floodgates. You really want to say, let's kind of let people in this new certification slowly.
Can anyone in the chat say how this compares to the previous roadmap? Like, is this smoother? Is it more complicated? I don't remember seeing this many bullet points before from friends of mine who are judges. So does anyone know like how this compares?
Pharmacist Judge notes that the old system, the L2, had to administer the exam.
Right, I remember that.
Okay, and that's cool. And that's what I recall when I got certified in 2007 or whatever it was. Some crazy year ago.
I like that there are social elements in here where I like that it says there's a public speaking module, there's a conflict resolution module, there's a developing a service mindset module, which I've heard Sheldon Menery talk about before. Building your judge brand, I think is really, really cool. Making announcements, being an effective host. Like I said, I don't know if this was in the curriculum before, but I like seeing these things here.
And no in the chat said, I'm not a fan of making all judges a company of their own. I assure you, it was they make the Judge Academy or there is no judge program.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Like Wizards was 100% done with it. They're still 100% done with it. Technically, you don't need a judge to run any sort of event from Wizards. You don't. It used to be, actual factual requirements. Nowadays they want you to. They sure would recommend it, but they don't necessarily require it because something legal legalities and judges aren't employees and they don't want to be seen as such and they want to get away from it as fast as possible. Okay. Little bit here before we leave the segment. Christian Calcano noted he's no longer sponsored by Haramuya. And he want to give him a huge thanks for 2 years that he's been with them. He's not sponsored going into the Magic Championship or the MC Richmond and beyond. If anyone is interested in sponsoring him, obviously let him know. This part of, I think there's a lot of team shakeups recently. And a lot of people a lot of teams either are broken up or a lot of teams are losing sponsorship. A lot of teams their sponsorship is changing. And a lot of companies are getting out of the sponsorship game. And this
is just difficult to keep the train going. If you have those seasons where you're running hot and then maybe you're not doing so well, or maybe life happens and you're not playing as much as you used to. You're not devoting as much time as you used to. It's very fickle. Like, I don't think I could do that. It just kind of seems like the game design world in general. You see people like leaving Wizards, going to Riot, going to Blizzard. Like, there's no stability there. It just
I think
bless the people who can do it.
Well, Wizards, I felt they tried to kind of go all in on the team thing. They had a team segment of the Pro Tour or whatever for a while, and they had teams sign up, but then you had really awkward interactions, like the whole team wasn't qualified for the Pro Tour, and that's not really going to work.
And it's always been difficult to monetize a team, to really prove that you're getting the value of that team. And so, I'm not surprised that they're downsizing or just getting out of the game altogether.
With all of the flux that has existed in the switch over to Mythic Championships from Pro Tours, it's gotten even more difficult to see where your money's going. Mm-hmm. It's difficult to see how advertising pays off in general, let alone with all of this consternation and all of this upheaval. It's upsetting and it's sad to see such a stalwart like Christian Calcano and such a powerful institution like Haruya split ways. But it's a fact of life and it's a fact of the game at this point.
I feel like there's a certain kind of reckoning that's waiting to happen for esports and sponsorships and the amount of money that is in esports these days. Because it wants to be very much like real sports, sort of the big sports that have the $1 million contracts and all this other stuff, and all these people and all these giant sponsors that give infinite dollars. And right now we're kind of at this kind of interim where we're not so small that we can't necessarily say that you shouldn't sponsor it or you shouldn't have a brand next to this big event, but you're also not big enough to say, if a company were to put $10,000 into a team, are they going to get anywhere near that value, let alone more than that value?
It's definitely something I've wondered when I see a lot of these kids say, like, I'm sponsored. It's like, what does that mean exactly? Because, you know, when I was working for Card Hoarder, to be quite honest, it didn't mean very much. And so, you know, I'm anxious to see, I would love to see like what BCW sponsorship looks like, or what, you know, the Nova sponsorships look like. You know, that's something I find so fascinating, is what do you call a sponsorship? You know, when these guys get picked up by big teams like Newmont and Caleb Durward, and they're like, I'm on Team Karma. And I was like, you know, like, what is that getting you? Like, it's a big name. They have a lot of Twitter followers, but like, are you getting money? Are you getting a jersey? Like, are you getting a plane ticket? Like, I always wonder what goes into that, because it just doesn't sound as sweet as like we're made to think it is.
We've been lucky enough to be sponsored on Magic Mics by Cool Stuff Inc. and by Card Hoarder for a number of years at this point. It's fairly obvious to see what they get out of it. We say their name at the top of the show. They get their little logo in the lower.
We also actually use their products,
and we use their products, and then we obviously also get a tangible benefit. You know, when I'm doing the Broken Pact, it's the same deal. We have a number of sponsors, including Cool Stuff Inc., who you know, we say their name at the top of the show. They get a little thick graphic on the screen, and we get a tangible benefit. I don't get what the tangible benefit is.
Yeah.
In one direction or the other, depending on whether it's the sponsor or the sponsee, in a number of these cases.
Because with content, you can show page views, you can show, you can hear us saying your name, you know, you could see your logo on our tokens and on our layout. You know, we can, it's a static metric that we need to hit. But if you're sponsoring a pro, what are you're putting money into this person, I assume, but what are you getting out of it? Like, do they need to be hitting a certain metric too? You know, obviously variance is a thing. I mentioned people having good seasons. It just sounds so, again, uncertain, where it's like, what are you getting out of this on both sides?
Well, I would say the only team that or the only sort of organization I've seen that's been able to do really anything with their players is Ultimate Guard. Ultimate Guard is also, I believe, managed by Cedric Phillips, and or some amount, like if the team is interacted with by Cedric. And, you know, maybe it wasn't my idea. Maybe they took it and ran with it. I don't know. I don't care. The point is, I said, hey, you should have sleeves with John Finkel's signature on them. And 4 or 5 minutes later, there's sleeves with John Finkel's signature on them. So those items are really how you cash in on those types of personalities. And they're really the only people who've done so.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what Team Channel Fireball is going to end up doing, this latest iteration of Team Channel Fireball that has, you know, that has Gabby and has Show. Because that's an esports team. That is an esports team. That's not a Magic the Gathering team. That's an esports team. In the way that they've evolved, that is a new kind of paradigm for Magic esports going forward. So I'm interested to see how they monetize, because I think that that's going to be the leader. Those are going to be the leaders in the clubhouse. They're going to be the ones who show the way going forward.
There you go. All right. And even in Kendra MTG Maverick Girl notes that didn't Ultimate Guard split up? Maybe. I don't know.
I couldn't tell you.
As far as I know, they're still selling sleeves with John Finkel's signature on them. So that's the thing. Let's move on here to Desperate Ravings. Now, you may not want to know a lot about Theros Beyond Death.
And we're not going to tell you a lot.
Correct.
We are not spoiling anything today on the show, just to be clear.
Let's be very clear. We are not discussing the actual spoilers.
Right.
What we're doing is we're discussing the news that there are spoilers available.
And this ridiculous.
They happen to be sweet.
Well, yes, they happen to be sweet, obviously. If you want to check them out, the websites have them in the world. You can find them if you go look for them. The point is that this story that came out was that 3 packs, or I'm sorry, was it 5 packs? 5 packs of Theros Beyond Death were purchased at a Walgreens. Okay. All right. I want you to think about what needs to happen for a product to make its way from a factory across the world to a Walgreens in North Carolina. Okay?
Yeah. First of all, can you buy Magic cards at Walgreens?
At some of them you can, yes.
Yeah.
You can? Okay.
And
I thought that was the first stumble over the.
No.
they have those sort of cardboard packages where there's only one pack in them.
Yeah, and
but
they
have a
often
hook.
have those sales. Like sometimes people will post receipts on Twitter. They'll be like, I got 50% off, buy 2, get 3 or something.
Yeah, so that is a little silly, whatever. But it does appear like these are actual factual booster packs. They had the packaging, they had all the tokens, they had all the commons, they had the rares. Like, it was a thing that somehow got out in the world, and we're in October. This product doesn't release until the mid-January, late January.
It's a long way off. Yeah.
Something went horribly wrong. Something went like people might go to jail wrong with how bad this went.
This reminds me of Battle for Zendikar when they had like Patient Zero.
Oh, this was
Oath
of the Gatewatch?
Yeah, that
Gatewatch,
was,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, Oath of the Gatewatch was just a gigantic cluster because judges tried to warn them, and then they retaliated against the judges, and they didn't retaliate, and they took it away. And
This is not quite. We are not. I mean, we're nowhere near New Phyrexia or Judgment level of spoilerage.
we're not even near the Ixalan League.
No, but I was just going to say, Ixalan is
That was
probably
brutal,
the
too.
closest to where we're at with this.
Right.
But I think that we're even short of the Ixalan leak at this point. So there are leaks. They are available, and the set isn't going to be out for another 3 months. It's unfortunate that spoilers happen, particularly in the way that these were just sort of, there they are, they exist. And so it probably ruins a little bit of the marketing for the set.
Right.
And it ruins a little bit of the excitement for the set. But I think that it's not a catastrophe.
Right. It's one of those things where it's like, wow, this is bad. How did this happen? Can we have this never happen again? Like, we get upset when our spoiler is busted a day before the show. This is months and months before we're supposed to be seeing things from Theros Beyond Death, which is ridiculous. So, either way, that's unfortunate, and that sucks, and we hope that Wizards is able to get to the bottom of that.
But the consensus seems to be that it's bad. Scryfall recently made an announcement and said that they will not be posting anything. Seth and MTG Goldfish have been a lot more careful about it, instead of just those semantics of is this ethical. And so people seem to be making more of an effort of we're not going to do this, and by de-incentivizing people.
Yeah, disincentive.
I'm grammar police now. It's fine. From this, if you disincentivize people from doing this, maybe there's less likely to do. So.
And also, not for nothing, our Discord has a specific channel. If you wish to discuss spoilers as opposed to official previews, there is a channel for that.
And if you want to get in our Discord, you can sponsor us at patreon.com/MagicMikes.
Hey.
All right. Hey, we gotta pay the bills. All right, so we spoke a little bit earlier about Oko. Let me try to give you the expanse of how stupid this card is, okay? This card won a Pioneer, a Legacy, a Vintage Challenge over the weekend.
Also won the Vintage playoffs the week before. So this is 2 weeks of Oko dominance in Vintage.
In Vintage. Y'all, in Vintage. It's completely nuts. I mean, when Oko was spoiled, and I was just like, but you +1, and their best thing is a 3/3. It doesn't matter what it is. It's a Wurmcoil Engine, 3/3. Primeval Titan, 3/3.
They're running it in the paradoxical Urza list in Modern now, too. Yeah. Like, it's absurd, just the dominant. I actually muted the word elk because I couldn't with all the jokes and all the news, and just I'm exhausted. I don't even care about the card. Like, no deck I play cares about this card, but it's just all anybody's talking about, and the results are ridiculous, and dominance is out there.
It's so weird that, like, it somehow feels like it would be more egregious if it was 0 colon to turn something into an elk instead of +1, because you'd be like, you do that for free? He's like, no, now I do it to tick up, to make your best whatever just completely
the fact that it
nothing.
Is, I mean, there's a number of things that are wrong, and it's none of it is the mechanic Food's fault, but Food is going to get the blame for this. Just like Energy is going to get the blame for the Energy debacle. There's nothing particularly wrong with Food inherently. It's the cards that ended up getting put on them.
Yeah, it's the idea that they have a turn 2 Planeswalker that ticks up to 6, so it's good against you know,
it's a plus.
It's a plus. Ben Stark, somebody noted a sort of a clip from his stream. He's like, look, Planeswalkers are supposed to be good because they're good against control, and they punish control, and control can't attack them, so they can get rid of them very quickly. But aggro can't battle against Oko either, because you're either gaining a bunch of life, or you're making a bunch of 3/3s to block with, or you're making your best creature a 3/3, which invalidates what you're trying to do. So all of those factors are just working against it. It's absolutely ridiculous and amazing, and I love awesome overpowered cards. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to be playing with him this weekend, but that doesn't mean he's not overpowered and busted and ridiculous.
It doesn't mean it's not stupid. And
it's not stupid. So it's been quite a year for Magic the Gathering, as noted by Eric Froelich. Let's see, we had Modern PT testing new mole rule and draft format pre-release. Arena PT is half of Esper, the Hogak Pro Tour, the Arena Pro Tour with all Golos and Oko. Oh my God. It's been a overpowered year.
It definitely feels like something's changed, or there's been a bit of a paradigm shift where they've been putting their foot on the pedal, and we've just been along for the ride. And as somebody who likes to do broken things, you know, I would rather they do this than not, but it takes a while to get used to it. We were just like, whoa.
Sam Stoddard, who was in R&D for a very long time, no longer is with Wizards, he noted he tried very hard not to make every Planeswalker cost 5, have a loyalty of +1 draw card, -3 kill a creature, -8 win the game. But that's kind of sort of where they're at as the kind of baseline Planeswalker. So if they try to do something pushed or something sort of better than average, they want to make sure it's good. They sure made Oko good.
I will say it's times like these where I love keeping an eye on the former WotC staff, because when they leave Wizards, I think we all expect them to come like, you know, bursting out of the gate with like lots of gossip, lots of information. Oh no, you got to keep your eyes peeled for moments like this, because that's when they start to kind of peek their little meerkat heads up. And they start to like let you in little things. And like, I loved seeing Samsat open up about this, and Alexis Jansen and Kelly Biggs and all of them. This was a great time to keep an eye on certain people.
Yeah, this is one of the most sort of obvious things. Now, we sort of wanted Field of the Dead to be banned. We didn't kind of like sort of the play patterns of it, but I don't necessarily could say that it was like busted. It wasn't winning every other format. It was just really good in standard.
And it was keeping Oko in check, apparently.
Yes, it was, because with no Field of the Dead, Oko is everywhere, and Oko is everything, and now you have Veil of Summers and Noxious Grasps and main decks, and that's a problem. That's a
Veil of Summers, what, an $8 uncommon?
Sure is. And again, as we mentioned earlier, Wizards came out and said there's no ban restricted changes prior to the Mythic Championship 6. We'll see on November 18th. See what happens to Oko.
Yikes.
Oko, oh no. All right, cool. We spoke a little bit about the Grand Prix attendance was a complete joke. It'd be nice if it wasn't bad. A thing here, the Wizards has an eSports update that they mentioned where they discuss fractional invites. This is one of the worst terms I think they could have made for this system. But here's
I don't know what that is, and
so if I understand it correctly,
like I could never understand.
You could.
So if I understand it correctly, it's for the people who have had like multiple 11-4s and wouldn't normally have anything to show for it. You can sort of convert those into a fraction of a qualification, and then combine them together to earn a qualification, if I'm understanding it correctly.
Basically, you get to earn a percentage of an invite to the next player's tour. Now, here's the cool part, is if you were to earn that 100% invite, okay, they count the previous season and the current season's invites as valid. So if you get your invite this season, you'll have it again next season. You don't have to go back and re-earn another 100%. So if you make top 8, you get 50% of the way there, and I believe if you make top 4, you get an invite. So that's why it's only top 8. And 36 match points get you 40%, and if you top 8 the Players Tour, you'll get 70% there for another one. So essentially, you can have more than 100%, but you only need 100% of an invite to get an invite that season. And again, it counts the previous season and the current season, so you'll get an invite this one and the next one if you earn it immediately right now. So
it's like filling up your vault in Arena.
A little bit,
I also appreciated that they gave us some transparency in terms of the Arena issues, because Arena famously had some problems during the last Mythic Championship, and so they were talking about how they handle the bugs and crashes at events. And so I thought this was a very good announcement. I enjoyed reading it. The changes seem to be very well received. It inspired a lot of people to want to go to GPs again, which they hadn't really been before. And so I think this was a hit.
Absolutely. This was basically a lot of players were surprised by how they handled bugs and crashes at the event, and they wanted to be very clear about, well, this is the policy. Here's what happens when it does happen. Always a bit of a dagger when they're like, well, they had this reconnection bug and we fixed it the following week, but we unfortunately had to live with it through the main event, which was bad. But that said, that things should improve. And again, fractional invites are interesting. I can't wait till they rebrand that to something else. Please don't call it fractional invites.
Fractional invites sounds needlessly complicated, even if it isn't.
It's true. TCG Player is located in Syracuse, New York, and this week announced they are laying off 15% of its workforce. That's a large chunk of the company. They said they had over 200 people. So we're looking at, dozen to almost 24 people, depending on how many they cut.
Well, I think they said they were going to end up with 200 after. They didn't say how many were being let go, but they did say how many were going to be left behind after.
Yep. And with that, the company will still employ more than 200 people, he said. And so there's a lot of people there. There's plenty of people who work there. They're doing a lot of work in software. They do a lot of work in sort of card fulfillment that they do for various vendors. They keep cards, I think, on site now.
I had to laugh because right around the time this happened, they had posted some tweets on Twitter and they were like, come be one of our sponsored content creators. And I was like, I don't want to end up on the unemployment line like the rest of these people. Right. I was like, exactly. You might not want it just seemed like a bad time to be recruiting talent, where it was like,
not necessarily.
Not a wagon I would hitch my giddy up to. So
it's possible that they, hired in areas that they didn't necessarily need. Expanded in a direction that they're closing off. I don't want to speculate, but
right. This isn't necessarily.
It does seem a little. It kind of reminded me, and it's probably not the case, but it kind of, in a tiny way, kind of reminded me of the Blizzard thing, where Blizzard had like a record year. Like, did you see how they revamped their headquarters? Yeah. They spent millions of dollars to turn their headquarters into this weird fantasy land with like game themed rooms, and it was like, wait a minute, girl, you had all the money to like, build yourself a Wonderland, and then you
kick them out of Wonderland. Because Wonderland got bills now. It's got to pay. And expensive.
There was a bit of a disconnect there. I'm sure that wasn't the case, but it just reminded me of that. Of like, really? Well, it's a nice base you got there,
So it's great to see the sort of the opposite of that, which is Magic Online is very, very healthy right now.
Hey.
Nice.
Our sponsor, cardhoarder.com, and MTGO Traders both said that they are buying tickets now for 96 cents each. Now, normally you buy tickets for $1, so them buying them back for 96 cents is a big deal, in that those rates were lowered and lowered and lowered as things kind of got rougher for Magic Online. Well, things seem to have essentially rebounded, and now that Pioneer's here, everybody's excited about it all over again.
Oh, yeah. People were, I remember the first few days that Pioneer came out, people were having a hard time getting cards, where the bots couldn't keep them in stock. I remember the card hoarder was doing this really nice thing with like a wait list and like notifying people when their cards were ready, and really going that extra mile to try to pull people's cards from them. A lot of the streamers were like, I'd love to stream, but I can't get the cards, which was, unheard of, cards you wouldn't normally have a problem getting. And so it's really inspired people to want to play Magic Online again. Magic Online hadn't been having the issues that Arena had been having. They'd had that weird performance bug where people's computers just couldn't handle Arena. You had streamers that were like, my computer cannot do this. And so, Magic Online was really able to creep in, and people are back.
And I cannot, it's just ridiculous that it took them 17 years to get auto tapping in the client. I don't think it's actually in there yet, but they've announced that they're going to add it to the client, where you can just drag the spell and it will just play the spell.
Yeah.
Very much like Arena, which we've been, I miss when I go back to Magic Online. It's creepy, and like I'm just like, I have to tap mana?
I don't know what those words mean, but I'll take your word for it.
Well, look, there's a lot of people who noted they want Pioneer on Arena, and yes, wouldn't that be great? I still think the best way they can do that is to make a cube with Pioneer cards and integrate them into the client that way. But we'll see.
Magic the Gathering Online is still the best way to play Magic the Gathering online.
That's crazy. That's kind of crazy. That said, last little bit here, wanted to mention this GoFundMe for 2 Magic judges.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. Their house got hit by a drive-by shooting.
Yeah. So Meg and John have been, mainstays of the judge program. I've been seeing them around at events for years. I remember Meg when she was coming up through the ranks. I think she's in L3 now. They've been regional coordinators at one time or another. They both left a huge impact on the judge program, and they had a series of drive-bys that happened in homes next to them that tangentially ended up affecting their home to where they did not feel safe to live there anymore. And so they were asking for help to move, because to move on short notice, you have to, get trucks, you have to pay for the rent, you can't break your lease, or if you do, you got to pay for that, plus first month's rent for a new place and a security deposit. And so they've been asking for help to try to get out of their living situation. They've asked for, their goal was $5,000, and they're a little bit over $2,500. Obviously it's a great cause. It's a great reason to reach out for help. And, if you do have anything to spare, consider sending them a couple bucks. Cause the pictures of that were just wild, of like, this is where I sit and play video games and there's a bullet hole. And if I hadn't gone to bed last night, I would be shot. And it was just like, whoa, like very real.
It's very real, and I definitely have seen these two in the judge program in the past, whether it's pictures of events or pictures of the judge program. So yeah, if you can help them out, that would be great. I put the link again there in the chat if you don't mind. Let's see here. Take a look at a little splash damage. Oh, okay. No, actually, we can go back. We can go back and talk a little bit about War of the Spark Forsaken.
Oh, please.
Oh my God.
Okay.
This is the excerpt. I am not making this up.
Let me handle this.
You go for it.
Because
Go
I'm
for
the
it.
necromancer here. Okay.
Yeah, go.
So the publisher behind this book had posted a tweet with a quote or an excerpt from the book on Twitter. And the excerpt goes like this. Kaya moved toward Liliana, calling out, "What are you doing?" Liliana's reply was cold as a midnight crypt. "I'm doing what every necromancer is born to do. I'm draining the life force from my enemy." What? Oh my God. This is so bad. I don't know what to do this.
Why?
Wow.
Okay.
First of all, Black is not born to do anything. Black makes their own destiny. So you wouldn't tell Black. Black would never say, like, I must do this. Black would be the color to say, I am going to do this. Second of all, what do necromancy and draining life have to do with each other? Necromancy is about raising the dead. What? This is so bad.
The cringe is here. The cringe is strong cringe.
Cold as a midnight cringe.
Really? Really? Come on.
Jesus.
As hot as a sick top deck. You know what I'm saying? Just like, what are you doing? This
The
doesn't.
Reddit thread is gold. I don't normally, throw Reddit a bone, but the replies to this are hilarious. There was one guy that was like, Liliana's reply was cold as a midnight crypt. I'm doing what every necromancer was born to do. My taxes.
I can't.
Oh, it's so bad.
I mean, as cold as a midnight crypt, y'all. I don't know. I mean,
Born to do. Oh my God.
there's a lot of things they could have done. Into the midnight crypt they went.
I know that whenever we give a bad opinion or an opinion that Erin doesn't like, her response, her face is cold as a midnight crypt.
If she's booking you down at the station.
I mean, got the cuffs here. I should just cuff you for crimes against literature. Just, crimes against fiction, something.
No need to sacrifice 2 zombies.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
All right. Last little bit of a story here we have in the world of splash damage.
Oh, my God. This is a mess.
It's kind of a mess.
Continues to be a mess.
All right, I'll handle this since I'm the Blizzard girl. So
Go for it.
From time to time, Blizzard releases these cosmetic items or these fun items to raise money for good causes, for floods or natural disasters or charities like breast cancer and things like that. Recently, they released an item that lets you turn into characters from World of Warcraft's history, and I even bought this myself, and it was very, very cool. It was very well received, and when they advertised this, the money was supposed to go to the prize pools for 2 major for, I think, either Hearthstone tournaments or Overwatch tournaments. I'm not sure. But the money was meant to augment these prize pools. The prize pools had a guaranteed purse of $500,000. The toy ended up raising over $2 million. When Blizzard saw how much money they raised, they took back their $500,000, and the teams only got the $2 million. So they let the audience pay for the prize purse instead of adding the $500,000 to that and giving these guys $2.5 million. They just said, you guys can handle this. And Blizzard has not been having a good year between the performance of their games, the Hong Kong thing, and now this. And this was the cherry on a really, really poopy Sunday. And it was just like, really? Like, you're going to take back your prize purse? This reminds me of DoorDash and how there was the controversy over, like, when you would tip somebody and the company would be like, oh, you just paid them, we don't have to. And it's like, no, like, pay them and give them our money. There's no reason you couldn't have done this. And a lot of the players, I think a couple players that were in the tournament had kind of spilled the beans on this. And then the word got out that Blizzard just took back the prize pool, which was just like, come on.
Yeah.
It's a little much.
Not having a great year.
No.
BlizzCon, it's the BlizzCon time of year as it is right now. And seems like Blizzard's biggest win this year happened 20 years ago, when they re-released World of Warcraft. So it's been pretty rough.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I've not played a Blizzard game since any of this started going down.
I actually just canceled my subscription because my raiding group is on hiatus until the next patch, and the next patch isn't coming out for a couple of months, and I just haven't had a desire to play, so there's no reason to be, charged $15 a month if you're not playing. So and even then, like, I'm not as excited about the new raid. I don't know if I'll come back for the new raid. Like, it's just been, I just have other things I'd rather be doing.
And we'll see how that works out. For me, it's not like I'm just like I'm aggressively uninstalling. It's basically like, if I think about sort of a Blizzard game, it now has like this weird kind of bad taste in your mouth. I mean, you're like,
apathy's worse than hate. Like if you're passionately, there's still passion there of like, screw this game, uninstall. Right. But it's another thing when you just can't care, when you're like, like that's worse to me, is when you just can't be bothered.
And then they're like, Overwatch 2, don't see this stuff about Hong Kong, Overwatch 2.
I think there was also a Diablo 4 leak where somebody had posted like a little tidbit about that to maybe offset the bad press. And
in anything, they'll
break the glass,
any port in a storm, y'all, just like help them out. Like, Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4, please don't look at all these terrible things we're doing, because oh my god.
For all of the ills that we give to Hasbro, to Wizards of the Coast, and to Magic the Gathering, at least we aren't screwing the pooch as bad as Blizzard.
They're having a far better year.
To that. The highlight, everybody.
They even got a new company. They got the Took, like the Canadian offshoot. Like, good on them.
Yeah.
The gaming company where they're going to make D&D online products or whatever.
Yes, the Hasbro Investors was what I was trying to think of.
Right. Yeah,
Either way,
it's pretty amazing. I mean, this is quite the Halloween episode. It's fitting that you're in your clown makeup, where the highlight of Magic, the highlight of the news this week was Magic the Gathering online digital objects.
Because everyone wants to play Pioneer.
For all the crap that we've given them over the years, and we've given them a lot of crap over the years, they had the best week.
It's true. All right. That said, we are going to turn the corner to the finisher. Right. It is Halloween, everybody, and we are in the spirit. So tell me, what is the hottest Magic the Gathering Halloween trend of 2019, Ruben?
Many Magic the Gathering players asked the question, what should I be for Halloween? Well, after he shaved his head and got rid of those glorious locks for charity at the Chalice last week, this year's Halloween costume du jour is the newly aerodynamic professor from Tolarian Community College. All you need is a bald cap, a tweed jacket from your granddad's closet, and a mask to hide your shame. That even with a brand new format and recent bannings, Merfolk still isn't playable in any format.
Aww. He looks great, by the way.
It's true, he's looking good.
He does look really good.
Aaron?
He's doing the 9th Doctor from Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Nice.
Get your tricorn hats and your buckle shoes ready before Thanksgiving even arrives, everyone, because this year's top costume is Pioneer. It's the hot format everyone's talking about, so whether you're spotted at a costume party or at a Magic Fest, nobody wants to be standard right now.
Standard's not okay. It'll be different. It'll be unique. Be Pioneer. Well, look, I think it's obvious that what the number one MTG costume is in 2019, because no matter what you choose to dress up as, no matter what format you're in, no matter what deck you're playing, it doesn't actually matter, because you'll be transformed into a 3/3 elk anyway. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Yes, Queen. Oko Queen.
Oko Queen.
Haloko Queen.
Haloko Queen. Hey, y'all. And that ends another live episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thanks, Mr. Clown. See you in my nightmares.
Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Yeah.
I'll be in your nightmares. I'll see you there. Okay.
You're enjoying this way too much.
I love it. I love it. Woo.
He's going to show up next week in this makeup just for the regular show.
This is just my get up now. It's my normal thing. Look, I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-hosts, Aaron Camel and Ruben Bressler, you guys for watching or listening, and hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMikes. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord at Twitch.tv at Magic Mikes, on Twitter at Magic Mikes Cast, our Magic Mikes subreddit, and like the Magic Mikes page on Facebook. Talk to us privately at MagicMikesPodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at MagicMikesPodcast.libsyn.com. Find us on iTunes or join us here next week, same time. Well, almost. Join us here next Wednesday, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.
Ba-na-na-na.